So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the time zones of the world go to war. The first thing I want to say is, what are we doing? What is this map? This is the most horrendous thing that I've ever set eyes on. But we're going to be looking at a scenario where all of these time zones go to war with each other. And I'm honestly not too sure what to think of this scenario. This video was a long time coming, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Anyway though, we are going to make it happen. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers soon, and all the support is greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's jump into this scenario. Now, there are a few countries that are just doing their own thing, like shout out to Afghanistan and India. They just have their own time zones that are 30 minutes ahead of the previous one. Iran does it too. Why are we doing this? Why is it 30 minutes ahead of everyone else? It makes no sense. Like in North America, it's all right. I'm not too sure what Mexico is doing. And then Belize, for some reason, is in Central Time, whereas everyone else is in like, wait, hold on. This line is not supposed to be there. There are going to be definitely a few mistakes on this map. This is in no way perfect, but like the Americas, for the most part, it's okay. I don't understand why this part of Brazil and this part of Chile are in the same time zone. Also, Canada, what are we doing right here? What is this line? Over to Africa, this actually isn't horrible. I don't know why this doesn't go like straight down. I know the earth is curved. I'm not like stupid or anything, but Africa probably has the best time zone borders. Europe also has pretty good borders for the most part. And then there's whatever Asia is doing. I'm not too sure what is this? China is under one entire time zone. Sure, why not? And then Australia. I'm looking at your time zone map and I can't really decide what is happening. So I just split you up like this. Sound good? Anyway, let's get to the war and the fighting. And I've colored this thing in and made the teams, and I honestly think I hate it even more. What are we doing in Russia? Why is this red time zone right here, and then in Bangladesh? Why? Once again, I know that the world is a globe and that this projection is a little bit messed up, but like, what? Like, again, there's just this little tiny little spot right here that is in the same time zone as the Caucasus and then Oman. Why? I did also fix some things, like I forgot the Canada's Eastern Zone, and I just kind of changed Australia a little bit. So there will be some differences, but let's get to the fighting, I guess. So starting off in the Americas, we will be going left to right, and we also won't be spending too much time per area just to get on with the other areas. But in the end, we have the red time zone, which is centered around California, going right on into the purple time zone and taking over all of Alaska. They are wiped out. And then a little bit after this, with their troops still up here in the north, they will start invading into the orange time zone. We see the yellow time zone do something very similar, invading into the orange one. And the orange one here is the mountain time zone. I know that because I'm an American. But the issue with the mountain time zone is that it is exactly what it is. It is mountains, the Mountain West time zone to be more specific. Canada, just don't get this whole island thing, so I'm just gonna fix it real quick. I know that troops wouldn't really invade there, but might as well fix it. But yeah, we have the Mountain West time zone. They get kind of crushed up between the Californians and the Texans. I'm just thinking of like the strongest country in each time zone, or I guess in this case the strongest state. And yeah, so when they get down here to like the really rocky mountains, it comes a little bit harder. They can't really go into Mexico. But moving on over here to the east, they aren't going to be too focused on this side just yet, because they will be invading the blue time zone over here and taking it out very quickly. Not long after, they will make a landing in southern Greenland and invade through the whole thing, and after taking all of the major settlements, Greenland will be forced to surrender over to the green team, which is Eastern time. That's my time zone. Woo! In Central America, we have the orange team going ahead and capturing Belize. I don't understand you, Belize. Why did you do that? And the orange team will make a small advance into Panama, taking the canal and entering towards Colombia. Now, South America will be interesting because it looks like this. To be quite frankly with you, the Eastern time zone does have the advantage up here. However, when it comes down to here, they're kind of cooked because Brazil, Argentina, and Chile are combining their forces, which doesn't look too great on paper. Now, I know that the Amazon rainforest is there, so they will be forcing their forces to go up north into Venezuela, taking out that area. And honestly, Venezuela is, or maybe Bolivia, are probably the countries that own this thing. Or I guess I should say the most powerful countries within it. But the blue team will absolutely go through this thing. And when it starts to collapse, we also see the yellow team do something similar. They will quickly invade into it as well, and they will split it with the blue team, and now there will be just a war between these two. So now moving out of the Americas and going over to the fun place. Well, actually the fun place would be here, but we're going here first. Europe is interesting because it actually is almost under just one whole time zone, but the strongest one here is obviously going to be the orange one, who has not just Europe, but also all the way down into Africa. So Portugal is invaded and wiped out, and the orange team starts to campaign into the red time zone over here, taking over Morocco. Nigeria will start an offensive into the southwestern portion of Africa. Liberia will fall over, and very quickly, I think this time zone would get folded. So they are forced into surrendering to the orange time zone, who is now just going to be fighting the British and the Icelandics. Now over to this part of Europe, we once again are going to see something kind of similar. The orange team is going to start doing some damage. They invade into Finland, while the green team will invade into the other half, wiping the country out. The Baltics, well, I'll spare you the details. It doesn't end well for them. And then also for here, it doesn't end well. The Russians will finally be able to invade Ukraine, but only because we also have the orange team invading into this area. Greece is captured by the orange team, and eventually they go all the way over to the border of Turkey, and the green team takes the rest. Now down to Africa, and the yellow team and the orange team and the green team, it's going to be very interesting. First of all, the orange team will start their invasion into Libya, and this goes pretty smoothly until they get over to Egypt, and that's where their problems start. Down south, the yellow team does have a pretty good advantage with South Africa on their team, so they will move on up into Angola and other areas, and they'll also start to move into areas of Tanzania. Madagascar, I don't think they would try to invade it, but they could. Meanwhile, up north in this country, or time zone, is a little bit different, with the Ethiopians and fellow other East Horn African countries going out into Sudan, as well as South Sudan. And the orange team realizes that this is a good opportunity to split this thing in half, so they do, sending their forces out, meeting up with the green team forces. And now the yellow team has been split into two. From here, we see that the orange team kind of just sweeps on through, pushing into areas of Egypt, while the green team does kind of struggle to go north. Over here in Arabia, we have the blue team being wiped out by the green team. We also have the Caucasus getting wiped out by the green team, as well as the remnants of the blue team over here. But then we need to talk about Iran. This is interesting. I do believe that the green team would have the overall advantage against the Iranians. That's because it's like the might of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and then Russia combined. So Iran would be at a disadvantage here, and they would start to get invaded. And then as for the purple country over here, they are in an interesting spot, but they do have Pakistan down here, meaning that an invasion of Afghanistan is possible, leading to these two countries linking up. Eventually, Afghanistan would fall to this time zone. They would also invade into Kyrgyzstan, and then into whatever this thing is. And now we see a second front open up in Iran, and Iran really probably should have just stick to one time zone. Now, I am going to recognize that there is like cases where I think Iran and these other countries that have their own time zone do use these standard time zones. However, I think it's just much more interesting to have them under their own time zone, since they do apparently have that as an option. I could be completely wrong in butchering this video, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But anyway, to this orange country here, they are cooked. This is like just Mongolia and Russia, Central Mongolia and Russia at that. So they're going to obviously lose to Central Asia. Over here to the mess that is Siberia, don't really know. So let's just, we'll have the blue team invade into Sakhalin, going over here, and then taking out the rest of Siberia. I don't even know if these things would function on their own, so they're not going to. And then we have the green time zone, which is interesting because it includes this part of Russia, and then Japan and Korea, all the way down to this part of Australia, and then this part of Indonesia. So to be frank with you, this thing would get folded pretty quickly. And yes, these islands right here are a part of this time zone. I can't tell you why. But we also have to account for the Chinese, because their time zone is overpowered, and they will also get their hand in on invading the green country, at least wiping it out up here in the north. Now for the green team in Korea, they would probably start to invade into Sakhalin in this blue area, simply because it provides a ground for an invasion into China. Speaking of China, their main focus is going to be wiping out the orange team down here in Southeast Asia, while also wiping out the orange team up here in Russia. India. What are we up to? Well, India kind of has their work cut out for them. They're not in as bad of a spot as Iran is, because first of all, they're very strong. And second of all, because they don't have too much to worry about. Like, they're going to take on Nepal, they're going to take out both Bhutan and Bangladesh. And then they only really have to worry about China. But the good thing about China is that you have the Himalayas right here, so you don't have to worry about like an invasion by them. So really, India is just going to focus in on invading Pakistan. I do realize in the last couple of these Wednesday videos that Pakistan has been being invaded by India a lot. I'll have to make up for that sometime. But moving on down to this beautiful, not beautiful, hell. I don't know what Malaysia is doing. Just put this in a different time zone. Like, I understand you want to have your whole country under one time zone, but just split it up. It's not that big of a deal. But the yellow team here, this is the Chinese yellow team, is at a slight advantage against the orange team for now. I mean, I say for now because the orange team is about to get folded. And I do want to clarify, if it isn't clear already, that like this orange team isn't the same as this orange team or that orange team. There's just like the primary colors that I used, and then the Other colors are used for the ones that have their own time zone. But anyway, the rest of Borneo will be invaded by the yellow team. Meanwhile, though, they do lose this part of Malaysia and Singapore. Over here, I don't know what would happen. Well, actually, I do know what would happen. The Southeastern Australians would win this whole continent over. Really, their only competition would be the yellow team over here, who would also do some invading of the continent. But when we're talking East versus West Australia, the East would win. So eventually, over time, they'll be pushed back to their border. New Zealand is chilling. I think the green team right here would probably suffer some losses, both to the yellow team and the blue team, but I'm just going to color it into the yellow team. And that is one whole cycle. This is what the world looks like now. There are a few less time zones, I will say that, but the fighting isn't done just yet. Back over to North America, we have the red team and the yellow team finally getting their beating on the orange team happening. They are kicked all the way out of the United States, and the invasion into Mexico has started. Now, the green team over here, the Eastern time zone, is going to have some fun because the yellow team is invading into the orange team, meaning that they can just kind of go right on in to the yellow team. The East will focus on taking over the Great Canadian Central area and securing a lot of resources which they need to fuel their war, and this goes extremely well as they're able to take out all of Canada's possessions. Eventually, they even too take over all of their annexed lands, and now the yellow time zone is all of a sudden looking like it's getting folded, because it is. The only thing they really got going for them is Texas, whereas this Eastern time zone has all of the eastern United States, including Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Yeah, a lot. You really just have Texas, I guess Louisiana too, and that's really it. Everyone else is kind of poor. Well, everyone else that hasn't been invaded yet. Wisconsin's there, Illinois is there. You get my point though. Down here, it's pretty bad for the yellow team as well. The rest of South America is kicking back against the yellow team, and eventually they will enter into the country and start to push it back. The orange team is no longer worrying about their invasion into Panama because they're simply just trying to survive. But now heading on over to this madness. The green team struggled at this at first, however they are able to now overrun the yellow team in this area. And with the help of the orange team to their west, we have the demolishing of the yellow team in Africa, except for down here. But getting to down here, it's also not going so well. The orange team is extremely powerful, and unfortunately for the yellow team, they don't have enough firepower to fight back. We even see the green team push back against them, and if that's happening, that's probably not that great of a thing. Eventually, even the orange team pushes back, and I do want to say the orange team is more than likely focused on the eastern front, but also wiping out the yellow team will help with that eastern front because then it's just a big war between the orange and the green. So they both kind of acknowledge that before we start killing each other, let's just kill these guys. Also, the British are still chilling on their island. Now over to Iran. This is where they finally get folded, as both the green team and the purple team will take them out. Now the purple team really wasn't doing too much here because they're more focused on defending against India, but still with the help of the green team taking out Tehran and other major areas, they're able to take the rest of Iran. Up here to this orange thing, we're going to finally be getting rid of it because the yellow team has taken a majority of it out, reaching now all the way up to the Arctic Circle. That's the wrong color. Much better. The blue team will capture these islands up here, even though that holds no military significance at all. And we'll now move back over here to Southeast Asia, where we see the yellow team pretty much just take this whole thing out. It was a long time coming, and it's finally happening. But they do survive for now. They're hanging out in Indonesia. India, on the other hand, is going to waste no time in allowing the Chinese to get up on their border because they will start an invasion of Myanmar. Over to the green team over here, and this is a mess. The yellow team kind of has their forces all over the place, but they do recognize like getting rid of the blue team up here will serve a significant advantage. And if you look at what the blue team really is, it's this, and get this. Papua New Guinea. Now these islands all are kind of interesting. I just threw them in the blue team time zone because I thought it was pathetic. But this is nothing. Its only area of importance is down here, which has already been captured, meaning that the collapse of this thing would be super quick. We would see both the green team and the yellow team strive to take as much land from here as possible. The green team for now gets the advantage, but the yellow team will be talking to their lawyer very soon. You might now also notice that there hasn't been movement on some fronts, such as between Korea and China. That is due to the theory that I just mentioned, that getting rid of the distractions will help you in the long run with these larger scale conflicts. So they both mutually kind of agree, not on paper, but understand that, hey, let's get rid of these guys before we fight each other. And that also applies down here, sort of. The purple team will be taking out all of the blue team, and an invasion of New Zealand probably isn't necessary because New Zealand's by themselves. I don't think they're going to do anything. But realistically, Australia would beat New Zealand in a war, so we have that happening. An update on this front line, the Eastern Australians are winning, and they eventually take the entire continent for themselves, which is huge for them, meaning they can now push back against the yellow team in all of Popeye. And now all of Oceania is under one country. Very fun. We could see something like this in other parts of the world, more specifically in North and South America, probably sooner than later in South America though, and maybe even in Africa. But you can kind of start to see the emerging powers in the world. You can see that the orange team is strong, the yellow team is strong, the green team is strong, the blue team is strong, and in North America it's still kind of a toss-up, but I would give the slight advantage over to the green team. So let's actually just hop back right on over here and talk about that. The red team will now stop its invasion of the orange team because now they're focused on getting into the yellow team before the green team does. Understandable, I would probably do the same thing. Fortunately though, the green team is quite good at their war games. And the yellow team is wiped out all the way down until Texas, who stands on their own. This gives the orange team a quick opportunity to take back lost lands, but that's probably not going to help them too much. They are saved for now due to the collapse of the yellow team. And all of a sudden, we have the Great Battle of North America as the green team and the red team start to fight each other. But still, they do kind of mutually agree to maybe deal with this at least first. South America, goodbye to the yellow team's presence here. It is gone. And these armies will move back up into Panama, liberating it. Or actually not liberating it, but taking it. And these guys can start to snake their way up into Central America. Maybe they capture the Galapagos, sure. But also they can start to island hop across the Caribbean and make their way into areas like Puerto Rico and Hispaniola. But all of South America has now all been united under one time zone. Over to Europe. Actually, no, we're going to pause in Europe because we're going to come down here first. The orange team and the green team will continue their bullying of the yellow team. They want it gone, and they will achieve that goal as both time zones come down and wipe this place almost completely off. South Africa will remain because they are so much stronger than all the other countries in their time zone at this point. But now the great war between the orange and the green will begin. The green team takes their opportunity up into Finland and the Baltics. They think that these are key areas to get under their control, and they do achieve that goal. However, they do suffer losses in Romania and Ukraine, and their African front overall is getting pushed back as the orange team takes over all of Egypt and all of the coast along the Red Sea. I do want to say that Africa is being heavily carried by the countries of Algeria and Nigeria. Angola could be a key player as well, maybe the half of the DRC that is here. Whereas the green team down here isn't in too great of a spot. They have Ethiopia and Tanzania as well as Kenya, and that's really about it. Now on over to the purple team here. They are actually probably just going to chill. They're fighting India, who would have a very slight advantage against them, and only because the purple team has Pakistan and then all of this. So the purple team wouldn't get completely folded over, and India's invasion of Pakistan wouldn't go too smoothly, which is why they're now focused over here in Myanmar, taking the areas that China has taken, and even starting an invasion into mainland China, which is the first time that this has happened so far. This will prompt China to hurry up their invasion of Southeast Asia, which they do. They reclaim all of Malaysia and very quickly dismantle the rest of Indonesia, meaning that we now have one less time zone in the world, another big loss. And at this point, you can see exactly what the great powers look like. The orange team, the yellow team, India, the blue team, and emergingly so, the green team over here. It will be interesting to see what happens when there's like continents fighting each other. But I would say right now there are two main time zones that look like they could win this whole thing. So let's continue the fighting. In North America, Texas is gone. The green team overruns them, which is a huge loss for the red team, a missed opportunity. I do want to say that when a time zone takes over another time zone, that time zone is automatically integrated into their country, which insanely buffs it. So for example, the orange team has taken over all of this land. They're able to use all of this land. They don't have to like garrison it or whatever. They can use it. They can take troops from it. They can take people, economy, blah, blah, blah. It is integrated essentially into their territory. So over here, once again, I did mention that there was a great war between the East and the West, and that is still ongoing. The West will push into the East, taking some areas of Texas that were just lost. However, the green team will start a campaign and invasion into the orange team in Central America, hoping to take over this area for themselves, and they eventually wrap all the way around the Gulf of Mexico. And the red team comes in and they'll take away all of this, and eventually the orange team is officially defeated. North America is now divided between two powers. South America is kind of just chilling out. They are going to start an invasion into Puerto Rico, all these islands, and eventually take Hispaniola and Jamaica, and maybe even do some invading up against the North Americans. But now we're once again shifting focus to Southern Africa, where they finally lose, but that isn't the end to their pain, because these two are going to continue fighting in this area and all throughout Africa. But staying on Africa just for a little bit, and maybe skipping ahead in the future and doing some unrealistic, well, I say unrealistic, but this whole scenario is, I mean, what is this scenario? But kind of maybe skipping a turn or two here, the orange team will start invading into this part of Africa, and it goes extremely well. Eventually, the green team will lose all of its claims into the, whatever, I guess this was yellow actually. They lose their yellow team claims and eventually get kicked out of Africa. Eventually, over probably a few years, Madagascar would also get invaded. And now all of Africa is under orange time zone rule. This is terrifying because it's basically just Europe and Africa combined under one country. And with the help of an entire continent full of 1.1-ish billion people, the green team is getting folded. They have Russia and they have the Middle East, and that's about it. Europe on its own would probably be able to beat Russia in a war, considering that they would have US aid at least, which they don't have in this scenario, but they have all of Africa, which might be even better than US aid. Goodbye to the green team in Russia at least. The purple team, who has very much overstayed their welcome, will push into the rest of this thing, eventually meeting the border of Europe. And now we can pretty much say goodbye to the green team as they start to lose in Africa. The Europeans will move on into Anatolia. They'll take over the yellow team that remains here, officially eliminating it and starting a great war in the Middle East. Now, heading on over to here. China has a couple of options, and they also have a couple of enemies. First of all, they can meet up with the Europeans, but they don't want to fight them just yet. They want to use the purple team as a buffer zone, and that's exactly what they'll do. So instead of doing that, let's finish off the green team over here. They'll invade the rest of Siberia without any issues. They really weren't defending it, and then they'll take over Sakhalin as well as this bit of Russia before moving into Korea and wiping it out pretty easily. I wouldn't say pretty easily. Korea is a very strong country, but at this point in time, China has control over all of northern Russia, and then as well as, you know, they have the Philippines on their team, they have Malaysia on their team, and they have all of Southeast Asia and a bit of Indonesia. That's more than enough firepower to go into Korea and take it. It is also more than enough firepower to take Japan, which this would also be a very elongated process. It would take a couple years, but they do take Japan in the end, eliminating the green team in East Asia. And now this is what our map is looking like. There are two, once again, very clear dominant powers, being the orange team and the yellow team. There are two minor powers, I would say, being the purple team and the blue team. There are two regional powers, India and the Middle East. And then the North Americans are having a quick little brawl to see who is the power over here. Also, Britain exists, but probably not for long. So coming back over here to North America, this is where things are finally going to get settled because the East has the advantage against the West at this very point. Really, the only reason the red team got so far into the video is because they had like weaker time zones around them, like just Alaska and the mountain time zone, which got split between them and the yellow team, and the yellow team eventually got ran over, which means that this is now getting split between them and the East. The East had a very easy cakewalk, much like the West, except the East is straight up stronger than the West, which is why we see them winning here. They've also taken a lot more land than the West at this point, meaning they can use it to do exactly what they're doing, push back against the West, and they enter into their core territory. A quick campaign is made to capture Alaska, which is really helpful for the resources to fuel the end of the red team, which now sticks down to just California. Meanwhile, though, the blue team is still snaking their way up into North America, taking over a good portion of Central America and landing in Cuba and taking it. And basically, the East wants to get this figured out as soon as possible in order to fight back against the South. As soon as they have California and its economy/population under their belt, they'll be able to push back against the blue team. North America versus South America straight up, I think we know how that all goes, but we'll get to that in a second. Back over here, there is a pretty good campaign made against the orange team to invade into the Middle East before we see the purple team get there. And the purple team, I mean, like, I don't really know what their strategy would be because they're cooked. They really, I mean, as soon as India is done with Pakistan, it's just going to collapse. And sure, they do have Iran and Caucasia and parts of Russia under their belt, but it's not enough compared to how strong their enemies are at this point. So the orange team will sweep right on through all of Arabia, we see the purple team take a little bit of it, but the green team is now officially eliminated, meaning that there are a very scary set of wars about to take place in Eurasia. Down here in the purple team, where everything is nice and chill, we have them taking a few Indonesian islands. They're not really too worried about expansion because they know they don't really stand much of a chance in the long run, but hey, you might as well take land now while you can. Maybe if you can take Indonesia, you might have a better fighting chance against China. Speaking of China, their focus has shifted once again. Instead of going after Southeast Asia, they now want to push back the Indians. And if you're India, this is not a good thing, because now you're worried about fighting a two-front war, and fighting a two-front war against China and Pakistan isn't too much in your favor. So they lose a lot of their eastern area, which allows for the purple team to push back, and India is starting to shrink. And this is what our map looks like now. The British still here. So once again, for our major player update, we have a new member. We have the orange team, the yellow team, and the new one is the green team, who at this point would be stronger than South America after they take over California, which will happen very soon. Regional powers include the purple team, the Indian team, and then the purple team down here. So back over to North America now, we see that California is completely wiped out and under the East Belt, meaning that the EST is the best time zone in America. We already knew this though. Yes, I am spreading EST propaganda. But now with their guns reloaded and even more strength under their belt, they will divert their attention down south to fighting off the blue team, who at this point has basically just set up like a defensive front in Panama. Yeah, they know they're not going to hold on to much of any of this. So they fall all the way back to the Panama Canal, where the North Americans are unable to advance. They also lose ground in the Caribbean, as the North Americans are able to take back all of the lost lands, minus a few of these islands. And now we go over to Europe. Oh man. But the orange team is, well, they're going to dispose of the purple team. Their goal is to get as much of this land as possible. Taking out Iran is huge, because they're going to need it to fight China, who all of a sudden realizes that, hey, they're not going to wait for us to finish off India. So now China starts to invade the purple team as well. And all of a sudden, their little fantasy where they thought they could survive long is over, because now the Europeans and the Chinese have met up. Pakistan is like, please don't. And then India's like, yeah, goodbye. And the two superpowers meet. This will be a war for the ages. Yeah, right guys? Fight each other, not me. Wait. No. Hey, please stop. Okay. India, I honestly think they would be able to hold out for maybe a couple months before this happened, but we got to get through with it. And down to you guys. I mean, what? You're probably just going to pull a Brazil and like dig up some trenches and just wait. The purple team and the blue team are in very similar like situations. Like there's an impending doom that is going to come for us very soon. And just to reiterate once again, because the EST team has taken over all of the US's like contingent 48 in Alaska, they have the strength of the United States, and then adding Canada, Mexico into that. And you know, South America combined under one flag is also very strong, but I don't know if it's as strong as like this strong. This might be US glazing, low key, but I think they could do it. It would just take a very long time to do. So what happens here? China is strong. And they also have half of India, Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan, a lot of Russia and Central Asia, also Indonesia and stuff. But are they as strong as all of Europe, all of Africa, all of the Middle East, all of the important parts of Russia, half of India, Pakistan? This is a ridiculous team. The answer to that question is no. No, they are not. And they do get a little bit of help from their Australian friends. They will stop digging in and they will start invading into Indonesia, because they understand that this is an opportunity to get land and maybe survive even longer. A lot of the fighting at first happens down in India, where the troops have just been stationed, but over time the orange team gains the advantage, now pushing China almost all the way out of India. And once India is officially incorporated into the orange team, it's wraps for China. This is insane. This is a crack team. They will move right on through China. They'll swoop around and take Siberia before moving into Korea and Japan. Next, they'll go through China. The Australian team will be like, whoa, let me grab some of that first, but not too fast, because hey, the orange team is Afro-Eurasia. Gulp. And at this point, it's not so much more about turns. Instead, it's more about how fast can the orange team take over the whole world. I'll say right now, pretty quickly, the purple team in Australia stands absolutely no chance. Possibly even weaker than like the Pakistan purple team. So, old world versus new world, am I right? Yeah, right, yeah. So to put it simply, the orange team is very, very clearly going to win this video. They'll make a landing in Alaska and move around, and I know my brush size is huge. It's at 175 right now. Maybe that doesn't really do it justice as to like how this would go. I'm not too sure who they want to go for first. Probably South America, maybe easier to invade geographically. However, it is further away from like the core orange team territory. But at the same time, I have said multiple times now that like once you invade a country, it's officially a part of you. So India and China are working for the orange team now, and that's an insane lineup. So let's just I'll just cut it short and sweet with you guys. I mean, maybe it would be invaded first, but more than likely it's like these two are invaded at the exact same time. And like, yeah, let's just use like a size 750 brush. That's reasonable. Yeah, and there we go. The Europeans and the Africans win. This was a very fun video. This was amazing. This felt like the old AdizzPro videos that I used to do. These were like the fun scenarios. I like this. This was fun. I guess you could disagree with me, but I do think that the orange time zone would win in the long run. Not because they're the strongest time zone, but because they're surrounded by more weak time zones. You have the red time zone, and then you had the, I guess the yellow time zone. Those were weaker time zones, and once you took over both of those, you have all of those countries under your belt. The green time zone would have to be fighting everyone else over here, meaning that the Europeans had a very easy time moving in to the Eurasian area because this area was so weak. China would eventually come over here and take all of this, but at that point Europe had all of this, and this is obviously stronger than the rest of this. And then once they fought each other and Europe had all of it, it's wraps. It's Afro-Eurasia versus the world. Afro-Eurasia is definitely going to win. So yeah, that was today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a comment down below with any input, any suggestions that you have. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to our next major milestone. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.
And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Serminator, Augusto, King Cheese, a Norwegian, RS, Dale Martinez, Australian Geo Guy, America and Canada and UK, Zaylance, Lazo Does Nothing, Rizioid, Laser Taze, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Pablo Sigma Cat, Death Strider X, Hammer Toad 45, CTG on YT, and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.